Communication is about more than just getting what you want. We all engage in communication as a way of interacting with those around us. Labeling objects, actions, and attributes is an important part of developing more complex social communication skills. In ABA, labeling is referred to as tacting. Think about times when you label things while engaging in communication with those around you. You label when you engage in joint attention by showing something interesting or important to someone else. You label when you teach someone something new. Throughout your day, labeling is an important part of how you interact with those around you. Children of different levels of communication can learn to label. As with other forms of communication, this labeling can occur in any form from spoken words to communication apps. In this lesson, we will cover the steps for teaching your child to label. These steps are similar to the steps for teaching other important skills, so they might sound familiar at this point. Labeling is a fundamental part of communicating. It is integral to how you engage with those around you every day. Think of the different ways you label things throughout your day. Pointing out an interesting object or event in your environment to the person you're standing next to. Talking about what someone else is doing. Telling someone how you're feeling. Or teaching someone something new. The act of labeling, or tacting as it's called in ABA, is simply attaching a name to something such as an object, action, or emotion. This labeling might just be a single word that specifies what that something is, or it might be more complex and include attributes such as size, shape, color, or texture. You can label other things in your environment, including smells and sounds. When you smell a great cup of coffee, you might say, coffee. You don't need to see it to know it's there. You can also label sounds around you. For example, if you hear a car screeching towards someone, you might say, "There's a car coming!" Labeling these things in your environment provides you with a way to interact with someone else. Gabriel's daughter Mia has started saying more words, but usually only after he says them. He wants to help her use language more spontaneously, so he decided to start teaching her to label objects in their environment. He feels that this will help her engage more freely with him as well. Gabriel sits down with her while she's playing. He puts a bin of familiar objects along with some reinforcers next to him. He has also prepared some pictures of those objects so he can practice labeling with both pictures and objects. Mia needs some help at first, but quickly starts saying the word for each picture or object he shows her. As Mia begins labeling more items at home, Gabriel starts to ask her to label things while walking home from school. As they pass a tree, he pauses, points to the tree, says, "Tree," then waits for Mia to respond. When she says, "tree," Gabriel cheers and gives her a quick tickle. He continues with other things they pass, including cars, flowers, rocks, and even a cat. One day when he and Mia walked home from school, Mia saw a dog across the street. Grabbing Gabriel's hand, she pointed and said, "Dog!" Gabriel couldn't be happier that he worked so hard to help Mia learn to share her view of the world around them. Teaching your child to label follows many of the same steps as teaching your child other skills. Start where she's already likely to be successful and provide reinforcement as she gradually gets better or closer to her goal. Here are the steps all together, but we will break each one down to make it easy for you to teach your child. First, make a list of some words your child knows, maybe some things she asks for, or words she can repeat. And make another list of your child's favorite things that you might use as reinforcers. Next, gather the items on the list from step 1, or pictures of those items, and go to where she's most comfortable, where she likes to play with some of those items. Then, show your child one of the items or a picture of one of those items. Immediately prompt her by saying the name of the item or prompt her to use the alternative communication system she already uses. If she says the word or uses the alternative communication to say the word, immediately provide praise and access to one of the reinforcers. If she doesn't say the word, don't give her the reinforcer and try prompting her again. It's often best to wait to teach labeling until your child learns to imitate your speech sounds or has learned to use an alternative form of communication, such as PECS or a communication app, to request what she wants. Once you're ready to begin, make a list of all the words she says, either with speech, PECS, or her communication app. If she's not yet saying full words, include any words she says that are close to understandable. These words will guide you in selecting the first labels you will teach your child. Start with the words she already knows how to say, so she will feel successful right away. Make another list of her favorite things, those things that she is most motivated for. These are potential reinforcers for your child. They are her paycheck for labeling the items you have on your list. Giving her the reinforcer lets her know that she did what you wanted her to do. Remember, you will need to limit her access to these things so she doesn't have that money tree. If you can't limit her access, then don't include it on the list. Next, look at the list of the words your child can say and collect each of the items on your list. You will want to have them nearby during the next step. Small versions of these items can make this a little easier. It's often best to have a picture of these items as well. They don't have to be exact pictures of the objects you're using, but the background should be a solid color to avoid confusion or distractions. Using pictures helps distinguish a label from a request. Remember, you want to teach your child to use language in different ways. Communicating is about more than just getting what you want. While you're collecting things, gather together your child's reinforcers. You will also need these within easy reach so you can give them to her quickly. Have her cereal in a bowl or bag and her favorite video queued up. Since you are teaching her to label rather than request, avoid using a reinforcer that is also a target. In this example, don't use the bubbles. You want to give her something other than the word she says to help her understand the difference between labeling and requesting. Keep all the items you collected in a bin or bag so they are handy when you need them. When you have a few minutes to play with your child, sit down next to her. Get her attention by saying her name or tickling her. When she's paying attention to you, show her one of the items or pictures. Next, say the word for the picture or item you're holding. If she's using PECS or another form of alternative communication, physically direct her hand to the correct item in her book or app, or model the sign. If she says the word or uses the alternative form of communication, immediately give her one of the reinforcers. You want to give her the reinforcer within 3 seconds of her saying the word. This provides her with the best feedback and lets her know exactly what behavior you're looking for. If she doesn't say the word or use the alternative form of communication, don't give her the reinforcer and say the word or prompt her to use the alternative form of communication again. Then wait for her to respond. If she responds, you can then go ahead and give her the reinforcer. If she doesn't respond, you can try a couple more times, then move on to something else. If she has trouble knowing what you want her to do, you can try saying, "What is it?" or "What's this?" when you hold up the picture or item. Follow that by saying the word or prompting the alternative form of communication. Remember, this should be fun and rewarding for your child. She should see this as a fun interaction with you and a way to get the things she likes. Incorporate lots of praise and always finish with something she knows how to do so she ends with a reinforcer.